going to be hearing some different samples of African American music as we trade classes throughout the day, but today I wanted to focus specifically on one aspect and one piece of African American music. Many of you already know that I love the many layers of meaning in music. It can be both entertaining and illuminating, traditional and activist-minded, crossing boundaries that would otherwise remain uncrossed for decades. It gives a voice to the voiceless because all music, in one way or another, tells a story. Some pieces may just tell about a single emotion or moment in time, but other works describe generations full of sorrow and happiness. So what are the stories told by African American music? The Black National Anthem is Lift Every Voice and Sing. It was first written as a poem by James Weldon Johnson, then adapted to music by his brother John Rosamond Johnson, and performed for the first time by a group of school children in 1900 to commemorate President Lincoln's birthday. It became a symbol of the civil rights movement and is still cherished today by African Americans, timeless in its symbolic meaning. When I hear the words of that song, I am reminded of all the great black musicians that became the voices shining light into the darkness, telling stories of those who could not be heard or understood. The opening lines of the anthem are, "Lift every voice and sing, till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty." Before the abolition of slavery, slaves created spirituals to express hope and faith, using the rhythm to keep time through the workday and using the words to communicate with each other. Denied other freedoms, singing was one of the few liberties they had. They sang, often using call and response, harmonizing with each other and creating a sense of community otherwise denied them. Once the Underground Railroad was developed, many spirituals contained coded messages that gave other slaves instructions for escaping to freedom. Their songs truly were ringing with the harmonies of liberty. As the anthem continues, we hear the words, "Sing a song full of faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of hope that the present has brought us." Think of all the great gospel music that expresses that exact same duality. Whether it's Mahalia Jackson singing "Precious Lord, Take My Hand," or Aretha Franklin singing "Amazing Grace." The lyrics continue, "Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died. Yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come to the place for which our fathers sighed." Those lyrics make me think of the blues. African-American B.B. King is considered by many to be one of the most influential blues musicians of all times. His music expressed the real-life hardships of African-Americans at a time when many whites wanted to turn a blind eye and a deaf ear to the everyday struggles of blacks. The abolition of slavery and the enactment of Reformation did not magically fix everything. Many African-Americans struggled to support themselves and lacked the educational opportunities that were naturally given to whites. Yet they persevered with strength and continued working, living, and loving. Born on a plantation, yet ending up touring the world as a famous musician, B.B. King told the story of a journey traveled by many African Americans as they worked toward a better future. Further in the anthem, the lyrics, although written in 1900, make me think of the present day. "Out from the gloomy past, till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our star is cast." Think of all the well-known African-American musicians of our time. Whether looking at my generation who listened to Ray Charles, Stevie Wonder, and Boyz II Men, or more current generations listening to hip-hop, rap, and pop artists, and by the way, I feel like I've heard Andre Day's Rise Up referenced by students at least once a week, it is clear that African-American musicians are at last standing in the light, reflecting their strength and impacting all those around them. The anthem ends with the words, "May we forever stand, true to our God, true to our native land." For me, this looks to the future while staying firmly rooted in the foundations of the past. Young African-American musicians look to the future with hope as they strive to perform the next big hit. But they do so with the knowledge that being African-American has to encompass both the past and the present. That success lies not in trying to blend in, but embracing the parts of yourself and your culture that make you unique. American music has been forever changed by African Americans, and just as black and white styles of music have blended and combined, so too can people. Peace, like harmony, is achieved not through the destruction of a voice, but through the combining of voices and parts, working together to create one sound while still retaining their own distinctness and value. I wanted you to listen today to parts of the Black National Anthem, and I surfed through many, many recordings. Couldn't exactly find one that I liked, so I called on my colleague who is much more talented than most of those recordings anyway. So please welcome Ms. Cheray Smith singing Lift Every Voice. Come on now.
Good morning.
Thank you. All right, I'll be singing the first and the last verse of Lift Every Voice and Sing. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast by thy might led us into the light. Keep us forever in your path, we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee. Lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadowed